The following is a CSPN Media podcast presentation.
Hello and welcome to Know the Score. I'm your host, Don Delarente, and we're here to talk about our most recent race from NASCAR at Martinsville, the NOCO 400. So thank you once again for tuning in to Know the Score. You can find us on the web at cspn.us. You can also find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, iTunes. All you have to do is just search for KTS Pod. So coming into this week at Martinsville, the biggest news item of the week is the return of Chase Elliott to the number 9 car. He missed 6 weeks after the California race with a broken leg. So Chase is back at one of his better tracks, Martinsville, but a very taxing track because you have to use both your legs for the gassing and the braking. So very curious place for him to come back, but I guess if he's cleared and medically, physically ready to go, there's no need to hide him or hold him out. So good to see Chase back and see how fast he can pick things up and get going back towards the front the way he was running before he got injured. Ryan Preece, he was very impressive, and so was Stewart-Haas Racing. As Ryan Preece takes the pole, Stewart-Haas Racing was well represented in the top 10 and the starting grid as well. So looks like they came with their A game here to Martinsville this week. Stewart-Haas trying to show that they've got some performance after a kind of ho-hum start so far to the season. In stage 1, Ryan Preece is the fastest car. He leads all the laps en route to winning the first stage and putting several drivers a lap down. Out front, clean air. He was really fast. Ryan Blaney, he made the biggest move in stage 1, going from 31st to 13th. One of the few people who was able to get in the back, work his way through traffic, and kind of work his way up through the field, and not necessarily at some points get stuck where he was running, but he would only get so far, around 10th to about 13th, and then that would be as far as he could get throughout the day. But our stage 1 top 10, we have Ryan Preece winning the stage, Alec Almirola in 2nd, Tyler Reddick in 3rd, Daniel Suarez 4th, Chase Briscoe 5th, Kevin Harvick 6th, Bubba Wallace 7th, Denny Hamlin 8th, Kyle Larson 9th, and William Byron in 10th. Stage 2, Preece maintains the lead during the stage break caution and is pulling away again until Harrison Burton spins and we get our first caution for accident. During the pit stop, Ryan Preece appears to win a 3-wide race off of pit road to maintain the lead. That's until we hear that Bubba Wallace, Martin Truex, and Ryan Preece were all caught speeding on pit road and had to restart in the rear. And that was basically the end of the day for Ryan Preece. He got marked back in the back, and him, Truex, and Bubba just could not make up any spots as far as just on speed and passing people. Once you lost your track position in this particular race, you pretty much were done. You were going to run about 2 or 3 spots up or back from where you started. Ross Chastain and Suarez, they decided to stay out during the pit stop, and they restart on the front row with Ross Chastain holding the lead. Ross Chastain was about to go down a lap at the end of the first stage, so he took a gamble to get himself some track position, and it worked out for him because Kevin Harvick passed him with 20 with less than 20 laps to go on the stage, followed by Briscoe and Hamlin. Kevin Harvick went on to win stage 2. So stage 2's top 10 looks like this: Kevin Harvick, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, Ross Chastain, Todd Gilliland, Daniel Suarez, Eric Almirola, and Kyle Larson. Ross Chastain, with the no tire call to get out in the front, he led probably about 25 laps before Kevin Harvick was able to pass him. So that showed everybody that the tire fall off wasn't that great, and that if you could get your car into some kind of clean air or up near the front, you could maintain your running position for quite a while. So that strategy would definitely play into the end of the race in stage 3. In stage 3, Chase Briscoe wins the race off of pit road to take the lead in stage 3. Hamlin passes Harvick and Briscoe to take over the lead, though. Anthony Alfredo, he loses a wheel during the completion of his green flag pit stop. So that bunches up things, causes some guys were pitting, some guys were trying to stay out to catch the caution. Two people who benefited from that, Joey Logano and Bubba Wallace, they stayed out, they caught the caution, so they improved their running position greatly. Suarez wins the race off pit road, followed by Logano, Harvick, and Bubba Wallace. Kyle Larson and Briscoe, they didn't pit, and they lead the field back to green. So we get a caution with 56 laps to go when JJ Gailey hit the wall on the front stretch. And this is when Logano and Almirola decide to stay out under caution. Larson takes 2 tires and he gets in front of Chase Briscoe on pit road. Then Larson runs down Logano to take the lead and eventually get the win at Martinsville for Hendrick Motorsports. So our top 10 looks like this: Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, Eric Almirola, Ryan Blaney, Ricky Stenhouse, Bubba Wallace, and Chase Elliott. This was a pit strategy, do something different than the leaders type of race. Kyle Larson took a gamble with 2 tires to get his track position to where he could make a move to get the lead from Joey Logano. Other than that, he was probably going to be about 7th or 8th in his day. Same thing goes for Martin Truex Jr. He was back there with Bubba for most of the day. Him, Ryan Preece, and Bubba got that speeding penalty. They were back in the teens up until that last strategy call. Martin Truex Jr. was able to get some track position and actually pass quite a few cars on his way to finishing 3rd. It was just a day that was all about where you were running, and if you were near the front, then you had a good chance to maybe pass 2 or 3 people and get the lead. If you were in the back, you were probably going to pass through 2 or 3 people and then get passed by 2 or 3 people and pretty much run in the same place that you started. They definitely have not fixed the short track package when it comes to Martinsville. People are speculating that the ability to downshift the car and use the car to make the corner and power out of the corner, if you make a mistake, makes it harder for guys to pass. The tires not falling off and making the cars harder to drive, slipping in and out of the groove is making it harder for guys to pass. The cars being as durable as they are, that can take such a beating and pounding, so there's not a lot of consequence to roughing people up, makes it a little harder to pass as well. There's a lot of talk and speculation about what they need to do to make this package work a lot better at the short tracks. It's probably going to be about 1.5 years before they can really do anything because of the way that this car is set up, they want to try to keep the cost down, and they don't want to have these teams go and make all these drastic changes to buy these bigger horsepower motors if they're going to do that for the short tracks, or if they're going to downsize the size of the tire, teams have to go out and get new, aluminum wheels to set those tires on. So there's a lot of cost involved if they go changing a lot of the mechanical things to make these race cars race better on the tracks that are the showcase tracks for NASCAR. It just seems like right now, with a full year under the belt and the teams being able to understand what the car can and cannot do, that right now these things are just too grippy, and they don't pose a lot of a challenge a lot of weeks for the guys to drive. Maybe once we get into the warmer months where the tracks are naturally less grippy just because of the heat of the sun being on them, maybe things will change. But here in the spring and in months where the air temperature is a lot cooler, a lot less humidity, these cars seem to have a lot of grip and don't really seem to race as well, just due to there's not a lot of fall off. There's not a lot of comers and goers. You pretty much are gonna run where you at. If you hit the setup and you can take off and get in the front, then you're gonna take off and get in front and stay in front until a caution happens, or somebody does a strategy move, or you get caught speeding to put yourself in the back. And then once you get put in the back, you're pretty much stuck in the back until you decide to do something different to get yourself some track position. So there's a lot to be desired when it comes to the car right now and how they're racing it on the short tracks and on the super speedways. Talladega is our next race. There's been a lot of consternation about not being able to get a third lane going with these cars, just because of the way that the bodies are and the aero. You don't get the side draft as much as it used to be on the old cars, so that's kind of hindered a lot of the excitement when it comes to the restrictor plate racing as well. So the next gen car in year 2 is definitely seeing a lot of struggles when it comes to just how the races are as far as entertaining and performance. But maybe, like I said, as the summer months go on, tracks get hotter, temperatures rise, less grip just naturally from the heating of the day, maybe we'll see some different racing and some more entertaining racing. To be honest, this race at Martinsville really wasn't that entertaining. Not a lot of cautions, not much on track passing for the lead, so there's a bunch of just follow the leader, and that's definitely not good for the ratings and the perception of NASCAR. Next week we are headed to Talladega, the world's fastest super speedway, so your restrictor plate racers will be your favorites. Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Joe Logano, Rick Stenhouse Jr., William Byron, Christopher Bell should be up in there in the mix. Ryan Blaney is going to be a factor as well. But a guy that I would be looking out for is a guy like Justin Haley, a guy like AJ Allmendinger. Ross Chastain is another guy who's won here at Talladega. Talladega is the race where the unlikely winner is likely to be had. So some of those guys a little bit farther down, your Michael McDowell's, some of your guys your Eric Joneses, your guys like that, who are pretty consistent restrictor plate racers, and if they can stay patient, stay in the back, Mr. X, you could have an upset winner this week. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and the unknown factor is going to be very great here at Talladega coming up this weekend. Looking forward to it. So thank you for listening to my NASCAR review of the Martinsville 400 from this past weekend. I'm your host, Don Delarente, and now you know the score.